So yes, the Georgio Poullas files have been released by none other than Pat Downey. PD3, all right, the Lizard King, Pat Downey. Now, there's a little bit of a backstory here, but essentially, it all originates from this platform. We had Giorgio on last week before REF 06. We asked Giorgio, about the past callouts from Pat Downey to compete in the 1K Takedown Challenge. Giorgio, he kind of snubbed Pat. And, I reached out to Pat for the interview because I wanted to get his statements on what Giorgio said about, some of their interactions at the past RAF events when it was cordial, despite the previous callouts. You guys got to go and watch these clips because it's kind of hard to explain. And this is why you guys need to be watching every single night, because we got the lore. This only dates back to last week. But essentially, yeah, Pat been calling out Giorgio. Giorgio hasn't really taken the match. People think that Pat's the one to expose Giorgio. So when I had Giorgio on, I asked him, and I was pressing him about it, trying to get a definitive answer. Are you down to run it with Pat? He did, and then he took it back. He's like, I'm down to run it with anybody, but doing it with Pat doesn't do anything for me. So it's one of these things. So I reached out to Pat, and I asked for his side of the story on things. I also asked for his expertise on the viral match, the takedowns, the clubbing, and all that stuff. So that's kind of the backstory of how I know Pat, how I know Giorgio, and how maybe I manifested this beef, or I re-sparked this beef. But anyway, let's take a look at some of the tape. And honestly, I could show you better than I could tell you. So we're going to review the unreleased raw footage of the Pat Downey interview from this morning. But before we do, let's take a look at the clips that Pat Downey dropped today. One more time. It also says, word on the street is Georgio Poullas still owes this police officer $1,000. Fraud MCM. So I guess this was a takedown challenge. I was a little bit doubtful of this at first, just because it's in a wrestling room. Like maybe he was just getting in work. But if you notice, first off, somebody is filming it as we speak. And second of all, there's somebody off to the left filming it as well. Homie hit him with the move, though. Homie hit him with a little side step and fucking got his ass down. See, this guy's recording right there. You can see this guy recording, holding his phone. Peep the Instagram if you want to see it for yourself. But this guy right here recording, the guy right here whose footage we're watching was recording. And Pat says, this guy's a police officer who Giorgio owes $1,000. How true is that statement from Pat? Honestly, I don't know. It could be sarcasm. It could be real. I don't know. But, this is one of the takedowns. I was a bit fishy about this one, but I'm a believe it. Until further notice, I would love to get Giorgio on to explain this stuff. Giorgio, I still fuck with you, homie. I still fuck with you. It's a tough world. Okay, you may have had to, bend the truth for your public image. And I'm here to tell you, I don't look down on you for it, homie. Okay, come on the podcast, respond to the files getting dropped, respond to the allegations, and let's put an end to this. I'm here for you, Giorgio. And I still fuck with you. Okay, I'm not against Giorgio by any means. But you know what? This is storyline. This is the art of storyline. Boom, again. Boom. Boom. Solid trip. Reach around the body with this arm here. Elevate this leg, and then he trips the other leg. Boom. And this is captioned, more evidence of George the fraud. I guess this isn't a takedown either, question mark, exclamation mark.
And as far as...
Now here is the footage of Giorgio getting asked about, the allegations that he has been taken down, and he didn't post the footage. That's been confirmed by several sources. Giorgio got asked this at the pre-fight press conference. Here was his answer to it. He stayed 10 toes down on the lie, on the alleged lie.
Me being taken down and not posting it. I post all my videos. People will always have something to say. It's the internet. People talk. And all that is great. As long as I'm being talked about, it means I'm doing something right.
There you have it. And Hezzo, shout out to Hezzo for being very educated in last night's chat. Much appreciated, Hezzo, because that played into the interview today, where I did ask Pat about the takedown. And yes, Hezzo, Pat is scoring that as a takedown. Pat's scoring it as a takedown. He's saying, it was a continuous motion. It's allowed. You don't got to keep your feet in. So I'm going to listen to Pat. I'm going to listen to Pat on that one. I'm going to spoil it for you. Okay, that's what Pat said. Also, Pat was saying, this is also so great that I had Pat on today, but Pat was also saying that collar ties, right, need to be deployed. Hang on, let me get in my bag here. Collar ties need to be deployed inside the shoulders. You see me inside the shoulders here? We shoot inside the shoulders. Okay, collar tying inside the shoulders. Now there's a little leeway there, but if you're coming boom, boom, okay, those are what we call clubs. So that puts it in perspective for you. The clubbing, the collar ties. Pat Downey explained it. He says if you collar tie, so to speak, from outside the shoulders, okay, that's not allowed. You cannot collar tie from outside the shoulders. That's called clubbing. Collar tying is from inside the shoulders. Inside the shoulders. Okay, so now we know. Now we know these things. And I think we're actually going to have to go through the whole thing again with this. We're going to have to give you guys all the lore, aren't we? So, here we go. Here we go. Let's do all the lore. Let's, how do I do this? Thinking about if I want to spoil my interview for you guys right now or not. I'll spoil it a little bit for you guys. Let's go to Pat Downey's IG. He did jump the gun, so it doesn't really matter. He did it on his own platform, the call out. He also did it on mine. For the sake of not spoiling the interview, for the sake of easiness, I will just show it on Pat's feed. But here's Pat calling down Giorgio to once again compete in his $1,000 Take Me Down challenge. And he's basically responding to what Giorgio had to say about him in our pre-match interview. So I'm going to show you guys that clip after this one.
I'm the man to take down George. You guys see the $1,000 Take Me Down? That's my guy, Dylan Palacio. George stole that bit, and I'm calling him a fraud. He says he'll do the takedown against anyone, but why won't you accept my takedown challenge? I don't have a problem with you.
Yeah, are you friends with Pat Downey? Should we call him?
That's from my interview.
You're a state champ from Ohio, one of the best wrestling states in America, but you're out here on camera looking good against untrained civilians. I don't do the gimmicks, but for you, I'll make an exception. I'm who they call to wrestle world and Olympic champs. I've been wrestling RAF's best, and you just had a chance to wrestle a fighter. Decided to make a fight with him, which wasn't very smart. Now, here's what I'm saying. I give you 10-1 odds. I take you down, I get 1,000. You take me down or stop me from taking you down, $10,000. There it is. Accept my challenge, or you're a bitch.
There you have it. So Pat Downey offering, I take you down, obviously I get the one band, but let's up the stakes. You take me down, and then he says, or you stop me from taking you down, which essentially means, or I can't take you down, I'll give you 10 bands, which is what he said in my interview too. That's why I'm able to clear it up. But Pat's saying, I take you down, I get $1,000. Now, to up the stakes, to make it more appealing for you to take this match, I don't take you down, 10 bands your way. And or, right, you take me down, 10 bands your way. Call it 10-1 odds, right? So Pat Downey quite effectively offering 10-1 odds to Giorgio on the simple fact that if he can't take down Giorgio, 10 bands goes to Giorgio. Kind of crazy. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I hope Giorgio accepts it. $10,000 essentially not to get taken down by Pat. Pat will give you $10,000 if you don't let him take you down. Shit, we got to run it. We got to at least try it. I don't give a fuck about my ego. Throw it out the window. 10 bands to not get taken down by him. Let's try it. Let's see what Giorgio got to say. Not sure how much, how Giorgio thinks Armand stacks up to Pat talent-wise, but Pat is a lot bigger. But I'd just be curious to see, like, if Giorgio's like, I just got done wrestling Armand. Like, you think I'm scared of you? Or if he's like, nah, you're too big for me. I'm just curious what he thinks about that. Kind of how he gauged Armand. Like, does he think Armand is super good? Does he think Armand's better than Pat? I'd be curious to know. I think Pat's better than Armand though, and he's more accomplished of a wrestler on the world scene. You know, not to mention the NCAA All-American and his collegiate career as well before college. Now let's look at, Pat responding to the clip of Giorgio, where I pressed Giorgio about running it with Pat, and then Giorgio pressed me back. So let's take a look. We got the work, boys. We got the work. Look at the organization. Okay. Just admire. Just look at it and admire it. Okay, here it is. Response to Pat Downey callouts. Georgio Poullas responds to Pat Downey's callouts to compete in 1K Take Me Down challenge. Let's watch it. Homie straight pressed me to call Pat because I was pressing him so much. But let's watch it.
And speaking of the wrestling and how you kind of foresaw something like this happening in your future, as far as like being able to ascend in a way through the videos, it's kind of like that guy MK. I think he's another viral guy, but he does 1-on-1s with basketball.
I just met him 2 days ago. Actually, I ran into him.
Yeah, same type of gimmick.
He's a Greek guy. I'm a Greek guy. We're both Greek.
Oh, Greek. I thought you said gray guy. He's a Greek.
Yeah,
got you. He said that he's pulling some crazy numbers, and even speaking about like the UFC a second ago, he's like, I low-key kind of compete with the NBA with my 1-on-1s. I draw like 8 billion views a month or something like that. Just kind of curious, how many views you be drawing on your Instagram or like TikTok?
I mean, combined, hundreds of millions of views a month on my profile. Yeah. It just, every month is different, but I don't just do Instagram or YouTube. I do Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook. I hit all the platforms.
Got you. So you can multiply it pretty quick. I'm sure like each match you do gets around like 500,000 or like 1 million views, right? At the very least.
Yeah, I mean, it
Across all
just depends.
socials.
So, like, yeah. So, I mean, if I have a big guy, like a bodybuilder guy, I know it's, getting 1 million views guaranteed. It's just, it's people like the size difference. It's very eye catching. They want to see me go against somebody big. They want to see me go against somebody cocky. And so it's just like when I could verse, a smaller wrestler that's a D1 NCAA champion, and it won't get nearly as many views as if I wrestle a bodybuilder that's never wrestled before. So it's just, that side of the internet. They want to see eye-catching stuff. How can you grab somebody's attention?
I'm pausing it for those of you with a short attention span. Start paying attention now. This is where I ask him about people asking him to wrestle accomplished wrestlers so we can see where he's actually at, not guys off the street. So this is where I ask him, this is where I start pressing him about Pat Downey.
Yeah, and so that might be why you haven't wrestled some of the people that people probably want you to wrestle, so to speak, like college wrestlers. Because I see a lot of people in the comments like, wrestle someone real, not these guys off the street, not these bodybuilder type figures. But it makes sense why you choose these guys, because this is what actually gets the views and the attention.
I mean, those people I like to think are just haters. Like I said, I'll do the video with anyone and everyone that wants to do it. I mean, the reason we're on this podcast is because I have a match with Armand. So these people want to see different matches. Like, what do you want me to do? Drive to their house and tell them to wrestle me? Like,
yeah. So I guess they're just not around you when you're doing these.
Yeah, I mean, come find me when I have this sign or whatnot. Like, these people request me to wrestle this person, that person. Like, bro, you want me to go knock on his door and wake him up? Like, what?
I guess the Pat Downey one, that's the main one people want to see, huh?
I don't really know anything about Pat Downey. I guess he had reached out to me a couple of times. He actually ended up blocking me because I never replied. But Pat Downey, it's just like he unblocked me now because I made a YouTube video about it. But and we met in person and he was all cool with me, whatever. But Pat Downey, it just doesn't make sense for me to do the video with, it's I would do it with him. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. But
doesn't make sense for me to do it with. I do it with him. Yeah, I don't got a problem with it. So we don't know. We don't know where Giorgio stands.
Really, what's on the table for that for me, right? Like, Pat Downey, he's got essentially no followers. He just wants some clout. Like I get nothing really out of that. When I'm versing a guy like Armand compared to Pat Downey, why would I choose Pat Downey when I can wrestle Armand? You know, so there's just different things that go into it. But it's like I said, I'll do it with anyone and everyone, and that's what I stood by. Is there something about the Pat Downey thing that you know that I don't know about?
No, just I've seen him call you out a lot in the past too, and then I see people think that like Pat's the one to expose you to pay out
Where
the 1 grand.
where has Pat Downey called me out?
I think he's posted on his stories and maybe even commented on like your posts and stuff like that. Have
I've
you
seen
not
a
seen?
couple. I've seen a couple times he used to comment on my posts, but other than that, I never seen him make a post about me or anything. But I mean, I make my posts on social media, and that's it. You know, I don't really check out what everybody else is doing.
I think it was more so like 6 months ago. He was more hell bent on the call out. I haven't really heard him say much about you over the last 6 months, so it's
Yeah, well,
nothing
you
of
know,
late.
when you're in the hot spot, everybody's gonna try and get attention from you.
Yeah, definitely for sure. So would you be like opposed to competing against Pat, or it just really hasn't worked out like where it's manifested itself?
I mean, I wouldn't be opposed. No, it just hasn't. The opportunity really hasn't been there. Like I said, come find me when I have the sign. Like, you want me to go to this dude's house, knock on his door, wake him up? You know, I ran into Pat Downey at RAF a couple times. I ended up riding in his car with his buddy. Like, you know, these people talk a lot of shit online, but when they see me in person, it's all love.
Mm. So even like when you guys kicked it, there wasn't much talk about let's run this match that I've been calling you out for.
No, not one mention of it.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I mean, if he did call you out, would you have ran it right then and there, like hypothetically?
On the mat,
Like if you, because you were kicking it with Pat, you guys were in the same car. If you were to be like, yo, let's run this video right now, like could you guys have ran it then?
it depends what situation we're in. You know, we were at weigh-ins. We had a match that same day. You know, so going straight into the match, like it wouldn't make sense for me to wrestle him right before my match. You know.
Yeah, that would, I agree with you there. That wouldn't make too much sense. I was just curious because since you guys were together, but you guys were both competing on that weekend. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Are you friends with Pat Downey?
I've done interviews with him, but it's not
Should
like
we
I'm on his side or anything.
should we call him?
Do you want me to? I mean, we don't got to.
I mean, if you would like to call him, we can call him.
Do you have something to say to him? I mean, I haven't talked to him in a minute. Maybe I can call him on FaceTime.
We could ask him about his curiosity in wrestling me and what the call outs are about. You know.
All right, let's try it. Let's try it.
All
Like I
right.
said, I haven't talked.
Well, shit, he didn't. Pat Downey didn't answer me here, but I sure as hell got a hold of Pat Downey, and I sure as hell got an idea about what the callouts are about. Oh, I sure as hell did get to the bottom of this one.
To Pat in a minute, but let me try. This is perfect for the content, I guess.
Huh. Do you think Pat Downey's a better wrestler than Armand?
This is why I'm saying I'm not sure. I wish I asked Giorgio this question right back to him. This is what I was saying a second ago. I'm not sure how much better Giorgio thinks Pat is than Armand based off this question he asked me. You know, he's like, do you think Pat's a better wrestler than Armand? And in hindsight, yes, bro. Not only is Pat bigger, but he's more accomplished on the world scene, you know, which is all we're kind of like asking from Giorgio, not to be accomplished on the world scene, but can you, in a way, beat somebody, that's certified, somebody who's an All-American, an NCAA champ, something. And we're going to get into this too. And I mean, I might as well right now. I don't want to wait to get into it while it's fresh. Okay. Here's the sucky thing for Giorgio, and I get it, and I don't mean to put this standard on Giorgio. Like I said, I actually fuck with the guy. Like, I think he's a cool dude. Like, honestly. But the thing that kind of sucks that's getting put on Giorgio is because he puts on that image of like, I've never been taken down, I never gave up $1,000. It's opening this door to be like, oh, well, you're the best wrestler in the world. And he has never claimed, okay, let's keep it real here. Giorgio has never claimed that he's the best wrestler in the world. And maybe I could have mentioned this to Pat, who knows, but I'm saying it now. Giorgio's never claimed that he's the best wrestler in the world. So how fair is it to ask him to be like, you're a fraud, number one, and then be like, unless you go ahead and grapple against an All-American, an NCAA champ, somebody on the world level, or else you're a fraud. Is that fair to him? Trying to debunk his gimmick that he's having fun with to grow the sport of wrestling. I guess I'm going to say it's not fair to Giorgio. I guess I'm going to say it's not fair to Giorgio. I guess I'm going to say it's not fair to Giorgio, but here will be my little asterisk. Okay, Giorgio, I think you got to be a bit more open and maybe say that, like, I can't really beat these All-American guys. I probably can't beat an NCAA champ. I would say just be more real with it. Leaving it up to interpretation whether or not you can beat these guys is why there's a lot of questions being asked. If you could say something like, I'm down to run it with him, I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to take him down. I'm not going to do the $1,000 I'm not going to do the $1,000 take me down challenge with him, right? Because he's actually an All-American. I'm a fucking college dropout. I didn't even make it to the NCAA tournament my freshman year, my true freshman year. So I'll run the challenge with him. I'll show you guys how good I am, but I'm not going to put the money on the line. I put the money on the line when I'm having fun in the streets. This is kind of unfair if I just have to take on like these internet requests, because obviously you're going to pull out the best people you can. And to be honest with you, Pat's twice, Giorgio's size, essentially. At least, height wise, Pat's like over 6 foot, Giorgio like 5'7", and Giorgio probably, I think he weighed in around 180 for his match against Armand. I could tell you right now, Pat's sitting at like two plus, 210 plus probably. So that's what I got to say. It is a bit tough for Giorgio to be accepting these offers from anyone, because there's always someone bigger and better. No matter who you are, there's someone bigger and better than Pat Downey. We already found out it's Yoel Romero at this point in time. But it's killing the fun of Giorgio's little gimmick. But I would say Giorgio should humble himself a little bit and maybe pay more respect to the All-Americans, to the NCAA champs who happen to call him out, and pour cold water on that fire they're starting to build up. Just show them the respect and say, look, bro, this is honest from me, and I've still been able to do what I did, but I had a negative record my true freshman year. Like, you think I'm just going to come out off the couch and beat Pat? Like, come on now. I could do this against MMA fighters. I can go in jiu-jitsu gyms. I could do it on the street at an influencer house. These are the places that I can do the Take Me Down challenge. And if I so happen to see Pat Downey at the influencer house, then I'm not going to duck it, right? But I'm not just going to like respond to Pat's DM, tell him meet me here, pull up, wait there for him to come, and then run it. And to be honest with you, I do understand that perspective. I do understand it. And do I doubt Giorgio would run it with Pat if they were at the same influencer house? No, I don't necessarily. No, I don't. So, I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing I would say about Giorgio and his Take Me Down challenge, and him, in a way with these real accredited wrestlers trying to debunk him because he's getting a lot more clout than them. And at least Muggsy Bulljunk, people know he never even went to college, really. At least never competed in college, especially D1 and all this stuff. I think Muggsy even went to jail. So although Muggsy's a lot more popular than these accredited wrestlers, people know where he stands. They know he's not the best, But I don't think these accredited wrestlers like Giorgio's gimmick. I don't think that they like that he acts like he's never been taken down, that he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. I don't think that they appreciate or like that. And that just is what it is. I'm just here to call it down the middle for you boys. So, that's what I would say. Now let's just kind of finish off this clip real quick.
Well, Pat has that US Open title that he won. He got a couple of the stop signs or something. And then after college, he won on that freestyle scene. So I think he's more accoladed than Armand, just on that level. But Armand hasn't really competed on the same scene that Pat has. It's saying no answer. So I tried.
What do you think about Yoel beating Pat Downey?
Yoel's a beast. He's like a former Olympic gold or silver medalist. But then I saw that Buchanan ended up beating Yoel, which kind of put it a bit more in perspective for me, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. Hey
Yeah.
man, that's the sport of wrestling, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And Buchanan's a NCAA champ coming off that. So
Yeah.
yeah. And he's now competing in freestyle. So that was dope for Buchanan. But that all right, yeah. So we'll move on past Pat, I guess you could say. But did you have anything else you want to mention about the whole Pat thing? I feel like you got intrigued with that one.
It was just more so the way you approached it, but no, we
Oh,
can move on.
okay. Now I was just honestly curious. I'm just trying to ask you the questions that the fans have curiosity about. So it's not like I got any motives going into this, just so you know. I was just asking you things that I think the fans want to hear about because I've been following you. So that's all that came from.
Got you.
You know, there's the clip, right? Now here's Pat's response.
Why you not Olympic champ? Ah, it's not my goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Accolades or I saw he
Yeah.
for sure, and still came up short against a guy that's only wrestled one freestyle match ever. So
Yeah.
kind of shows why he probably doesn't have that next level success or any college acumen or senior level
Yeah.
accolades or I saw him also say it's just why because Armand goes get taken down, you never give up takedown. He's never. So why you not Olympic champ? Ah, it's not my goal.
Yeah.
And by that logic, why don't I got 7 figures and debt free life? That's not my goal. Anything I never accomplished wasn't even my goal.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
so give a fair play there. He's gotta kind of got to answer for everything. But then but I don't know. I think he's on some good vitamins because he seems to be all over the place. I saw your interview with him. You sent it to me yesterday,
Right. Yeah.
and yeah. So one hand, he acts like he doesn't know me with the takedown challenge, but I showed you I DM'd him before asking to do the challenge, and like how I commented on a video, hey, let a real wrestler try your challenge because you have like he even speaks that he's wrestled his whole life, like. So you're gonna look really good against untrained civilians. That was my whole gripe. And then he spoke on me blocking him, which was funny because he like took it personally because it was like he was insinuating that I didn't like him, and like, dude, I block myself sometimes. Like I did an ad with Anaconda, and you get these ads, or like maybe his marketing team does ads or something, but
Hmm.
people that like annoy me, like spam, or like I keep seeing the same shit in the algorithm, I'll block it. Like I just did, I'll block. Like I don't think anything of it. But then I
Yeah.
saw he was on RAF, and I unblocked the kid. And first reaction in real life, he comes up to me like, "Hey Pat, my cousin knows you, super cool. He definitely knows who I am." I'm like, "Yeah, bro, we're half cousins. I'm in the family. T Star's cool as hell. That's my girl." So like he definitely knows me, bro. He wrestled a couple years younger than me in high school. So it's like one end he's like, "Hey, I don't do this for
Insinuating he cracked Giorgio's cousin is crazy work.
clout. I let anybody give the challenge." And then the other hand, he's like, "Oh, I need Arm on a bigger brand to boost it." And I post on Tinder or Twitter or whatever these apps are, TikTok. He's like talking about how he's a influencer, so he
Yeah.
wants clout and wants a big brand name. But then he says, "Oh, let anybody do the challenge. Why can't I do the challenge?" And my whole thing is like, you stole the challenge from my boy Dylan Palacio. Give credit where it's
Oh.
due. That's the original take me down for 1,000 guy.
And I do know who Dylan Palacio is, for the record. It's up for debate whether or not he stole it from him. I don't know how long Dylan was doing it, but Pat says he was the original guy. The reason why I'm pausing it is because I have seen Dylan Palacio's videos, and Dylan has posted when he got taken down at the beach one time by a big old kid, a minor. This fucking big old 17-year-old kid came and took his ass down at the beach. After Palacio tried to big dog him and be like, go ask your dad for permission. Homie came back with pops and took his ass down. But just a little bit of lore for you guys about that Dylan guy. Okay.
I mean, yeah, George just kind of blew up more with it, but I got so many people tagging me in his videos, like, let Pat Downey try, let me try, and I finally am like, hey, I'll take you down, bro. So it's like, at this point, now that I've spoken on it to you publicly, if he doesn't accept the takedown challenge from me, he's just a bitch, right? Like,
Well, I mean, he did say he's down to run it with you, but it was like one of those weird
that's what
ones,
I
like you're
mean.
saying, because he goes like, I'd be down to run it with Pat, but then it doesn't make sense for me because he doesn't have a lot of followers and like
How
nobody really
doesn't it make
knows him.
sense?
But
I'm a
then it's
senior
like,
level world team member. I'm a U.S. Open champ. Everybody knows me in the wrestling community, and I'm bigger than him. So there'd
mhm.
be no excuse for anybody. This would be a way for him to put unequivocally, no doubt in anybody's mind that he's legit and not getting taken down. And I'll one up it for him. He gives me 1,000 if I take him down. I'll give him 10 if I can't take him down. So 10 to
Oh
1
damn.
odds, George. 10 to 1 odds, George.
And
Now
that's
he's really
just
a
calling him George. Oh, I just picked up on that. Pat's not calling him Giorgio, he's calling him George. I don't know. A bit of lack of respect there. His name is Giorgio. Homie saying fuck it if it's Giorgio. I'm gonna call him George. I'm gonna call him whatever the fuck I want to call him because I could take his ass down. I'm playing. But no, I think that's kind of low-key hilarious calling him George constantly. It's Giorgio. But yes, here it is. You know, $1,000 if you could take me down, Giorgio, times 10 it. Times 10 it if I don't take you down. I mean, that's one of the most badass bets I ever heard. Times 10 it, X 10 it if I can't take you down. I mean, bro, if I can't take you down, I'm going to give you 10 bands. Definition of put your money where your mouth is. Pat sounds from Philly or Baltimore. He from B-more. He from B-more. Let's continue with this little clip, though.
bitch. Now he's really a bitch if you
Yeah.
don't accept.
And that's
You know
just
what I
if
mean?
you don't take him down. 10K if you don't take
Yeah.
him down.
Yeah, I
But
can't take him
1K to
down.
you if he takes you
Yeah.
down. Or if you take him
Yeah,
down.
exactly. We run it. I don't know how long you get. A couple minutes or something. I don't know. You know, you
Mhm.
get a little circle. Obviously, you can't have the dude out and freaking running around from me, sprinting in the parking lot, or running from me on the beat. You know, you gotta have a little
Form a
way
circle.
to touch him. Yeah, get a little
Yeah.
circle or something. But then he goes on semantics too. He's trying to say he didn't get taken down against Armand. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Well, okay. Before we get into the Armand thing, just to wrap it up with like you and Giorgio. So yeah, I was saying how you've been calling him out, and I was kind of pressing him. Did you notice that he kind of like started pressing me back? He's like, "You friends with Pat? Like, call him right now."
yeah, I saw it. I
Yeah.
saw it. But that's just you knowing that like I would be a legitimate, test for that challenge. You
And
know what I
all
mean?
it comes from is we just want to see how good Giorgio is. That's all it is. You know, it's not like there's
Mhm.
no because I see saying like people are hating, who say that I haven't wrestled anybody. And I'm not even of that logic of like you haven't wrestled anybody. I'm just like, you versus Pat. He's the one calling you out. There's this $1,000 take me down challenge. So I'm just kind of
Yeah,
bringing this to the forefront because the fans think you're the guy to expose him. And that's what I told him on the
yeah, I
podcast
heard you.
too.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great. Yeah, exactly. And I don't have no hate on the guy. I'm just saying if you really let anybody do the challenge, like let me do the challenge. That's all.
Hmm. Yeah. What about this car situation? Like you guys were in a car or something like that, and like everything's just cool with you guys, or? All right. I can't leak the whole interview for you boys. I can't leak the whole interview for you boys. That's what members only is for. That's what copping the membies for because the members, okay, they get the unreleased interview before anyone else. So shit, I can't spoil the whole thing for you boys. I think we gotta leave a cliffhanger somewhere. All right, I gave you boys enough of the unreleased interview. Okay, and if you want to catch the full interview, all right, become a member. Become a member today. You can watch the full interview. I mean, I don't want to mislead anyone, so just know it's not up yet. I just filmed it today. I had a long work day today, have not completed editing it, but it should be up by tomorrow, along with the Jacoby Smith interview. That should be up tomorrow too. That's another unreleased interview. You SOB. Jax was just getting started. He's like digging in. He's like, oh shit, this car situation, I'm about to find out. Shit, I'm sorry, Jax. You gotta wait for the clips or shit. Become a member, homie. But come on. Who leaks their own interview? All right, before it even drops. You're looking at him. Okay, for you boys, for the streets.